Does it ever seem as though some people have all the luck? Back in the 1970s, there was a Hollywood movie director who hired a local carpenter to install some cabinets in his home. Like a lot of people who work in Hollywood, that carpenter was an aspiring actor who was struggling to find roles and was just about ready to give up on his dream. But the movie director was kind to the young man and even agreed to let him audition for a part in the movie that he was about to start making. Well, that movie director was George Lucas, and that carpenter was Harrison Ford. If you're at all a fan of Star Wars, you know how that turned out. Most people would assume that if you're really going to make a difference, you're going to need a little bit of luck along the way. You're probably going to need to be in the right place at the right time. But does it ever seem as though you're constantly in the wrong place at the wrong time, that no matter what you do and how hard you try, circumstances beyond your control seem to be working against you? I'm guessing it seemed that way for a husband-wife team named Aquila and Priscilla. We're told that these two were tent makers by trade, and they were working in the most important and most powerful city in the world, in Rome. But it seems as though there was some conflict in Rome between the Jews and the Christians. And so as a result, the Roman Emperor Claudius issued a decree that all the Jews just needed to leave the city. So through no fault of their own, Aquila and Priscilla had to pack their bags, close up their shop, and start all over somewhere else. I'm sure it seemed as though they were the victim of unfortunate circumstances, that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, here's what happened. Aquila and Priscilla landed on their feet in the Greek city of Corinth, and there they met another tent maker by the name of Paul. Their relationship with Paul led to a remarkable history with these tent makers. They traveled all over the world with Paul as he continued to spread the good news about Jesus. The churches in at least two different cities ended up meeting in their homes in Ephesus and eventually back in Rome, the city that they got kicked out of. At one point, Paul went so far as to say that all the churches in the early Christian church knew the names of Aquila and Priscilla and were grateful for their work. And it all started with this decree issued by Emperor Claudius. It all started when it seemed as though they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Has it ever felt that way for you? Are you going through setbacks right now? Does it seem as though maybe the entire universe is working against you? Have you had to start over with your dreams or give up on your plans? I don't know if your story is going to turn out quite the way it did for Aquila and Priscilla, but I do know this. I know that your story isn't over yet. And I do know that as much as God can work incredible blessings when everything in your life seems to fall into place, God can do the very same thing when everything seems to be working against you. In fact, the Apostle Paul would later write to the Christians in that city that Aquila and Priscilla had gotten kicked out of. He wrote to the Christians in Rome, and he said this: "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Maybe it does seem sometimes like some people have all the luck, but I'd rather have a God who works all things for our good.
Did you enjoy this video? Well, we would love to share with you so much more. Just click here.